This movie just dropped you in and didn't even care. Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ryan, and today on the channel I'm going to be discussing the biopic drama film called Bob Marley One Love. This film is directed by Reinaldo Marcus Green, and he's done two other films I've seen before, King Richard and Joe Bell. It stars Kingsley Ben-Adir and Lashana Lynch. When I initially first saw the trailer for this film, I kind of was very skeptical. As I saw more trailers, I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot and see how it is. Biopic films, they can kind of go either way. A lot of the ones that I've seen have just been kind of mediocre. Positives that I can say about this film is I do like the guy who's actually playing Bob Marley. I like the look of him, the way that they did his hair and the costumes, the setting, the way that they shot the film is actually pretty good, and the acting overall isn't too bad. The music in this film, as expected, is very good. A lot of his hits Bob Marley has, it's all here, and you can really just tap your feet, enjoy the rhythm of reggae, and really get into his songs. And especially if you're a big fan, you're going to get a lot of his songs in here and really going to enjoy the soundtrack overall. The film starts with text exposition, and it tells you what is going on, but it also starts in 1976, which is very late in Bob Marley's life. We're in Jamaica, and we understand the severity of the situation, but we really don't know the spiritual beliefs of Bob Marley and where he's really at in his career. This film, it really has a problem of actually establishing anything within his childhood. We get a little bit of flashbacks of his childhood, but if you're an audience member and you don't know nothing about Bob Marley, I think this is a terrible start to the film because it's just so late in his career. He only lived to be 36 years old. He died in 1981, so we're starting the film at 1976, and this film, it only covers 2 years of his life. And the problem is we learn a little bit with the text exposition as to what is going on in Jamaica. He's holding this concert to really unify Jamaica and really just get them away from the political election that's going on, which we understand that this is a really bad time in their country. But the problem is we don't know really anything as a viewer, and if you don't know anything about Bob Marley and you're really trying to get other fans to really like him and really understand his story, you really start the movie off honestly just not very well. From there, Bob Marley ships his wife off to Delaware into a safer place, and he goes off to London with his band, and he's going to start to record his successful hit album, Exodus. Now, this film, it really goes into him just doing this recording with his band, so if you're really into that sort of thing, you get that. You get a lot of his like musical breakdowns, some of like the way how his temperament is, and you get to see him go on stage and do his moves and just sing different songs. So in that aspect, I think it really does nail the music down. If you're really into just hearing his music, this film, it definitely will provide that. I thought for the 100 minutes that this film actually is, it really just doesn't dive a lot into Bob Marley. And when the film actually ended, I was like, this is kind of one of those films, like if you don't really know much about him, you're going to have to go Google about him because it just doesn't tell you enough. It was very disappointing. It was very underwhelming. You know, I had a good time with the music, with the dialogue. It's not that it wasn't good, but there were parts where I was like, what did he say? What did they say? Because the accent is very strong. You know, I don't hear Jamaican accents very often, and their accent is very strong in this movie. And I feel like you honestly have to have subtitles on at points because I was like, did I miss that? Was the audio not turned up? There were definite points where I was a little bit frustrated of what they were actually saying because they get really thick with those accents. A lot of the key scenes and key moments, they're definitely in the trailer. I feel like if you've watched the trailer, you've watched a lot of this movie. There's a few other scenes in here where we don't really get a lot of him as far as like an interview. They do an interview with somebody, which is very brief. And I feel like we don't really get a lot of how he feels about certain situations. The fact that we only go to 1978 and what ultimately caused his death, we get like combed over and introduced a little bit to that. but we don't even get to the part where he even ultimately passes away. They just stop at 1978. There's a key moment that they actually go into towards the end of the film, and we have a little bit more of text exposition through the film a little bit, but there just isn't a lot that they really throw on here. It definitely is missing some meat on the bones, and it definitely missed the mark as far as a biopic. I thought that this was just not done very well. From an acting perspective, I think it's there to a point, and I think there are certain points in here where the film is fun and it has its fun moments with the soundtrack, but if you're looking from the outside like myself and not knowing a lot about Bob Marley, I just don't think this does enough. It's just not a very good film overall, and I can only give a score of this film a 2 out of 5. And I hate giving that score too, because this is a film that I thought would be really fun. I thought we'd get to learn a lot about Bob Marley, and we just don't learn enough. It's just very bare bones with the story overall. And if you like his music, yeah, you're going to enjoy that part and the making of the album and certain little issues here and there. The assassination attempt, they have that in here as well, which again, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen a lot of the key points of this film and what they actually touch on, and that's a shame because it really could have been a lot better. I think also too, with stretching the story a little bit more and having like the childhood moments and then up to his fame and how he writes music and stuff, I definitely would have actually liked to dive in that as well, and we don't do that as well. And it's just like, I mean, I don't know where their head was at as far as how they wanted to structure this film, but it was not structured well, and that's why I can only give it a 2 out of 5. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about Bob Marley One Love? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? And if you did check it out, let me know in the comments. Did you feel like you actually learned about Bob Marley throughout this film, or do you feel like I did on the outside, not knowing much about him and feeling after this film that you just didn't learn enough about him? I just feel that they should have did a better job of just making a story where, you know, someone may not know who he is and may want to learn about him. And the fact that you just kind of consider the fact that most of the audience already knows about him and his story, like, that's just a terrible way to introduce your audience to somebody and just assume that everybody knows who he is. Because, yeah, I know the name, I know he has reggae music, and I know he likes to smoke joints, but it's like, other than that, I didn't really know a lot about him, and I just thought they did a terrible job of really showing his life story in a 100-minute movie. And it definitely should have been longer too if they were going to extend the life of just showing, you know, certain things from his life. They definitely could have did a better job. But thank you guys for watching this review, and I will see you guys next time.